Hey guys, what's up? It's Big Magic Zach. If you're clicking on the video, I really do appreciate it. This is going to be my first attempt covering Strixhaven spoilers. I did a very quick video covering Faithful Saluting and just sort of the art because it caught my attention. But this is my five cards to look out for in Strixhaven. I wouldn't say they're the best cards, but I think they might have some ripples in the current meta of Standard and even implications in the other formats. So Commander, Historic, not legacy, but definitely anything limited. These cards will probably be some of the bangers in your deck. And I'm going to start with Liliana. So Liliana's on the screen here, Professor Onyx. She is a mythic. Not all the cards on the list are like mythics and rares. We do have one common that I really, really like, and I think it might be the best common so far. But this Planeswalker is a lot better than most people are giving it credit for. So it does have Magecraft, guys. So Magecraft is a static ability on a lot of creatures. This is a Planeswalker with it. And her particular one, it reads, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So this is a drain effect. This is a difference of 4 life rather than a difference of 2, like some of them, just picking for 1. And this is very nice because Magecraft is a thing you can trigger multiple times in a turn, right? And it's not so hard to imagine this as sort of our closing endgame win con, right? We have a bunch of we have 2 or 3 cheaper spells, right, that we can cast on turn 7 and sort of just, ping for 6 out of nowhere and sort of put us in the position to at least survive the crackback. Now, this Planeswalker does start with 5 loyalty, which is very good because immediately she'll go to 6. And then she's 2 away from her ultimate. Her ultimate's very interesting. I'll cover that in a second. But the -3 is what's very nice because of Turgrid, God of Fright, in the format. So if you don't know Turgrid, let me bring her up really fast. All right, guys. So this is Turgrid. I think my face might be covering the lantern half, but most of you should probably know this by now. But specifically with the God half, guys, whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control. So essentially you steal your thing if they have to discard it, or if we make them sacrifice it, which we do with Liliana. Now there is another card. Let me just think. Liliana. So boop, boop, boop. This one. Let me actually. How do I? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. This is a good card because you have to discard with the +1. You are getting bigger and making them discard, so it's very nice. And it can, of course, ping for damage at the end. But this can, be a nice curve into our 6-drop Liliana. The other thing about Liliana I will bring up is Blood on the Snow, right? Blood on the Snow is a fantastic card. So Blood on the Snow here, guys, is a very fantastic card in my opinion. There are a lot of snow decks, and even if you aren't prioritizing snow synergy or anything, you can just run the lands so as to at least, to at least get benefit of amazing sorceries like this. This is a cool way of basically essentially clearing the board for your Planeswalker, then immediately bringing back that Planeswalker, assuming you spend 6 snow mana. So that can be very, very cool. This is also just, it's the same CMC as that Liliana, so it can sort of fill up that 6-drop slot. You don't want to run 4 Lilianas. You probably want to run 3, maybe 3 Blood on the Snows. That could be very strong. Maybe 1 Rune Scarred Demon and take out a Blood on the Snow. But anyway, this is a good enough card right now in the meta that I think Liliana will do fine. And yeah, let's not forget the ultimate. I almost did. Each opponent may discard a card, and then if they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. So again, it is a -8. But essentially 7 times they repeat the process of they may discard a card. So essentially when they do run out of cards, they start losing life. So this can just ping them to death, right? Ideally. Again, with the Liliana and the Turgrid stuff, they can very easily only have 2 or 3 cards at this point in the game, right? So this should be able to ping them for a huge amount and usually be a win con if you do get to it. And then going forward, I do want to say that there are the new cycle of the tap lands, the snarls. You do have to reveal a basic land in order for it to come in untapped. They are dual, right? So I don't know if they're that good. They're not super amazing or anything, but keep an eye out for those. That's an honorable mention. And then there is those modal rares for each school that are very subject to what's good in the meta and what isn't. So I don't want to comment on those, but they're not further down the list. The rest of the list is just again cards I think you should keep your eye on, and cards that I guess I personally like. All right, guys. So this is first day of class. This is the common I was talking about. It is 1 in a red. Okay. For an instant, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, put a 1/1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn, and you learn. So one thing I'll say, and I won't speak too long about this card, is we sort of need to see how good these lessons cards are, because so if you haven't seen the learn mechanic, you have to reveal a lesson card from outside the game, so essentially in your sideboard, if you're playing standard, and then you can put it into your hand, or you can discard a card to draw a card. So you have the option if you don't, you run out of lessons, or you just don't want one of those lessons, you can at least just draw a card by discarding something. But really, depending on how good these learn cards are, this is a lot of value packed onto one card, guys. It's 1 in a red. It's 2 mana to give anything a counter. So that's cool, but specifically the haste until end of turn, right? So when you have big creatures that benefit from swinging in, right? A clause happens or triggers when you swing in. This can be super relevant in decks like that, maybe a 1 of at least, to sort of get you there. It's also just a cool way of, for counter decks, it can sort of give them the closing power to do one more hit, right? Counter decks don't really have access to haste. Of course, you would have to splash red, but this kind of is a very flexible, interesting card. In Commander formats like that, when you can make tons of tokens at a time, this can be a very cool card. One very synergistic thing I'll point out is Starnheim Unleashed. Yeah, Starnheim Unleashed could be very, very strong. Of course, maybe we cast this realistically, right? X is 3. That could be like maximum, right? But what we do is we cast X for 3, right? We get 3/4/4s. Then we have 2 more mana left. Say we have a 9 mana total. This is late in the game. All of that, power we've created is swinging, and they're all getting bigger. Something like Felidar Retreat, we're making these cat tokens. Maybe we have a Fabled Passage, we make 2 cat tokens. They can at least swing immediately. They're getting bigger. Maybe help grow them, slightly more to a relevant size. So I think that, first day of class has a lot of implications. I kind of want to wait and see how good it'll be, though. All right, so the next card, guys, is Valentin, Dean of the Vein, and Lisette, Dean of the Root. Now, this is one of the split, sort of, or I guess you would call it a modal card, but they're doing that for all of the schools' colors. So there's, a dean respectively for each color making up each school. But this one in particular is very strong, in my opinion, and I think it's probably the best one. Now, the 1-drop kind of pushes it over the edge, in my opinion, because it's a 1-drop with Menace and Lifelink. If Mutate fans aren't excited about that, I don't know what they would be, because that is very relevant keyword abilities. You mutate a big, Auspicious Starix onto a Menace Lifelink. That could be very cool. But without thinking about mutate, this is just a hate clause. If a non-token creature an opponent control would die, you exile instead. And when you do, sorry that the text didn't pop up. Just realized that. You create a 1/1 pest creature token, and when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Oh, sorry, the pest has that clause. So whenever that pest dies, you gain a life. Now, that can be very synergistic with the other half. So Lisette, Dean of the Root, whenever you gain life, you may pay 1, and then if you do, you put a counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn. So the very flexible nature of this card, I think, makes it very good, and the fact that they synergize very well together. Because even without the text boxes, guys, or at least without including the keyword abilities, this is a 1/1 Menace Lifelink or a 4 mana 4/4, and that already seems pretty good. So all these other words actually can very much push this into competitive play. I would say Standard could consider this if there is sort of a Golgari life gain theme going on, because you do have to pay 1 mana, right? That's not like perfect, right? Then put a 1/1 counter on each creature. Maybe you don't have a huge board, but they do get trample. Could help you have some closing power. And it also just sort of, shapes up nicely in the current meta right now, because there are a lot of ways of, gaining life. And I would just say that this is a card to look out for. And I'm sort of rambling now, but definitely the best of the split deans. So guys, this is Shadrix, the Silver Squall. Silver Squall, guys. It has flying and double strike. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose to, sorry. And each mode must target a different player. So it's a may clause, okay? If we do opt to do this, we have to at least choose two. So each mode, again, must target a different player, right? So I immediately thought of Rankle and how it compares to Rankle. I'm sure we're familiar with Rankle. This is a 5-mana Rankle, essentially, and it is Orzhov colors, right? But there is a cool thing about it, and I'll point it out. It is the last clause. Target player puts a 1/1 counter on each creature. If the opponent has no creatures, well, that's essentially not bad at all, right? We're not giving them anything. They're obtaining no value out of us. So when we can choose maybe like the top clause, right, we get a little 2/1 flying. I do think it has lifelink. No, it's an inkling creature, not lifelink. So it's just a 2/1 flyer. But at least it can be a chunk blocker, right? It could give us some closing damage, right? Progressively, Shadrix represents more body and damage in the form of these little flyers. Or we can draw a card and lose a life, which typically will have a lot of life in Orzhov, I would imagine. So this can be very cool, depending on how you want to play it. A lot of people don't like this card very much, but it is an Elder Dragon, guys. There is going to be an Elder Dragon in each of the respective colors. The two, colors making up each school of magic. So anyway, this is very, very cool. Just very, very fun, very, very fair. And I wanted to include an Elder Dragon in the list, and I just love Double Strike. You throw anything onto this, and it becomes a huge flying double striking creature. So I think people are just forgetting how good that can be as well. So definitely keep an eye on this, and we'll see what other cards come out to make this good or bad. Okay, guys, so this is kwondricks Apprentice. You'll probably be hearing its name for a little while now. I think it's going to be good enough to play, to be a standard creature you see very frequently. It does have Magecraft, so all of the apprentices, again, in the respective colors of each school, have Magecraft. This particular clause is whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you look at the top 3 cards of your library. Okay. You may reveal a land card from among them and put that card into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So it's sort of like a selective anticipate whatever as long as you're casting instants and sorcery. So every time you cast an instant or sorcery, ideally, you'll be getting a land. That seems good, especially in Simic, right? This is green-blue, okay? A 2-drop, so relatively early on curve that on turn 3, 4, right, depending on if you lay, 2 instants or, just 1 a turn, you can, ensure you have your lands curving out nicely. Ensure you have your 4, 5, and 6 drops ready to go. You're sort of thinning your deck as you're doing this. I think this card is very, very good, guys. And the flavor text, the secrets of our world will be mine. So basically, again, mathematically, you're thinning your deck, right? You're obtaining all this land. There's going to be landfall triggers, right, that you have to get, right? You have to hit your curve in Simic, especially, I would say. Coma is an amazing creature, even though that it's super boosted, busted in Commander and other formats, specifically Commander. This card, Coma is relevant enough in Standard that this card, again, will sort of help it find a home. And I just think that, we needed sort of a card like this. We don't have much ramp, or at least many ways of just obtaining land very easily. And I think this is a very easy way to do it, especially when there's going to be a lot of cheap instant sorceries in this set. I mean, you can definitely bet your bottom dollar on that. So I think this is a card to keep your eye out for. I won't say that this is going to be super busted or anything. I don't think it will even be like OP. I just think that this is an interesting card to keep our eyes on, and it's an effect that just in the past has been very, very strong. And a 2/2 body is a lot better than like a 1/3 in my opinion. At least right now in the way the standard is. I think you want that extra point of toughness. Of course, you do die to Bone Crusher, so I know I just said that. But I think that perhaps after Bone Crusher rotates out, this card will find a very welcome home and blah blah blah. So that's my list. I don't know if I got it right, but thanks for stopping by. And you know what I really would appreciate if you like and subscribe. I will be putting some gameplay of Kaldheim decks. Used to be Mythic. The last few seasons I haven't been though, or sorry, the last season I haven't been though, and I want to get back there. So keep an eye out for the gameplay and have a great day, guys. Appreciate it. Strixhaven's gonna be sick.